What's going on, you guys? My name is Chef Sebastian. Most of you should know me, but for those of you who don't, again, Sebastian. Really excited about making this dish with you guys. It's pretty cool, really fits with fall. I hope you guys enjoy making it by yourself, with your families, with your friends, however you want to do it. I think it's a really cool experience to do this though. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So today we're going to be making roasted butternut squash with kale chips and a chili maple brown butter. So I'll say that again. We're gonna roast some butternut squash. We're gonna make kale chips and also have this really cool maple brown butter chili sauce to go over top of our roasted butternut squash. So I kind of want to run you guys through what should be in your kits, and that's gonna be some of our ingredients. So I'll start with your butternut squash. We have our thyme, that's T-H-Y-M-E. We have our kale. We have our garlic chives. So they're very much like chives, except they're flat and have some garlic essence. And then we have our sage, some maple syrup, a Morita chili, and some butter. And also a peeler. So we're gonna provide you guys with peelers because it's gonna be needed to break down your butternut squash. And so we'll get into that more in a second. So that's the foundation of what you should have and that you'll need to make the dish, okay? So the first thing I wanna get going is our kale chips. So preheat your oven to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, so 250 degrees. Next, so kale has these stems in here that are pretty thick, and when you break down the chips, they kind of mess up the texture. So what we're gonna do is grab the end of that stem and just slide those leaves off, just like that. So remember, grab the stem and slide over and push away to get those stems off. So when we're thinking about like how big our chips should be, because we're gonna cut them, think about what's gonna happen. So as chips are cooking and as they're roasting away, what's gonna happen is they're gonna start to shrink a little bit. So we want them to be a pretty big, decent size. I can show you in here. So if we did something like that, I think that would be a great size for a chip. I'm just gonna lay that down on our sheet tray. I have a sheet tray here, you guys. I put foil on it to just support with cleanup, so I don't have to wash the sheet tray all over again. So I'm gonna break down some of this kale for our chips. If you guys haven't had kale chips in any of our classes, or you're new and just experiencing me, they taste a lot like potato chips in a lot of ways. They're not as crunchy, but they're close. And if you salt them well enough, you really get some of that like really nice feel of like a potato chip. So like I said, you can just use your hands. You can use your knife if you have one to cut it into those strips. I'm just gonna use my hands. All right. Put this in front of me so you guys can see. If your kale was wet, you can always gently pat it down dry with a paper towel. How I would do that, just grab a paper towel, put some in, and gently pat it. You're just trying to get off some of that water, right? If we want our chips to be crispy, we have to eliminate as much moisture as possible. And water is one of those forms. Oil is different, and you'll see what we do with olive oil in a second on our kale. All right, so our kale has been prepped. It's been broken up into like its chip size. Now I'm gonna add some olive oil. So I'm just gonna drizzle some olive oil on top of our kale chips. This helps them crisp up. This also helps that salt adhere. So I am very gently massaging. I do not need to be aggressive, you guys. Just gently massage that oil into the chips. All right, now we're gonna make sure it's all on a nice even layer. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Then I want you to grab your salt that you've been provided. Just gonna take it, and remember you guys, we season from high, we don't season low. If it's low, it goes in one spot. So we season high. Move our hand around and just watch as that salt falls, because we want to make sure it's evenly being distributed amongst the kale. So a nice good pinch of salt. Then I'm gonna mix again gently with my hands so that salt is adhering to the kale. And you guys, literally, it goes in the oven and then it comes out. So we're gonna put this in. We're gonna start with about 25 minutes and then we'll check on it to see where it's at. It should take no longer than 30 though, just for you to understand that for time. So going down into our oven. And we'll just let it do its thing. Next up, you guys, we're gonna work on our butternut squash. So butternut squash, obviously in the squash family, think pumpkins, think of different type of squash. Really interesting, cool flavor that you can create. We're gonna play with that sweetness because it feels very fall and fits the mood for like Thanksgiving around this time. So the first thing I'm gonna do, you guys, is cut off our top. I want to preserve as much of the butternut squash as possible, so I'm going to come up really close on it. If you don't have a strong enough knife, we can talk about what to do next. But if you do, just going to cut through that top off, right? So all we did was cut that top off. We're going to do the same at the bottom, just like that. And make sure you try to cut as straight as possible so the butternut squash sits flat, just like this. Now, next, I'm gonna peel this guy. So with your peeler, get this off. Let's cover off. All we're gonna do is peel just like that. When you're peeling, I'd rather you guys not peel towards your body, peel in this direction or even away, like this. But all we're doing is removing all of that top layer of skin from the butternut squash. Make sure you get all of that skin off and take your time so you don't hurt yourself and that you can preserve as much of the squash as possible. But there's no rush on this, you guys. That peeler, if you scratch it against your skin, you'll cut yourself. So be very careful. And like I said, away from your body. Alright, so we got this thing peeled. If you want to see, all of that skin is off. Most of it. And we're good to go. So I'm going to take our peels and throw them away and get them out of our way. And I'll tell you guys what we're going to do next. So when I told you that we have to cut that bottom part off so it's flat, it's really important. When you create flat surfaces when you're cutting, it really supports you in that process. And what we're gonna do next is cut straight down the middle. So here, I got my knife over the top, right in the center of the squash, and I just press down. Now I have a pretty sharp, strong knife. If you do not, what we can do to soften this after you peel is roast it at 400 degrees in your oven after you've peeled it. So you would take this, like if this was whole, you'd put it in your oven at 400 degrees and that'll help soften it so you can cut through. So for those of you that can, just do it. Now that our butternut squash is open, you guys see our little pit in our seeds. We need to remove those. I'm gonna grab a spoon and dig out those seeds in that pit. So we dig that out and clean it out, just like this. Really dig in there with your spoon. Guys, don't be afraid to get aggressive with it because we want that stuff out. We don't want any of that stringy stuff because it messes with the texture. Okay, so we got all of our seeds in that pit stuff out. This is okay, I think. As it hangs, I think that that's fine, but that's what you're looking for. Next, we're gonna cut down our butternut squash. So, like I said, for me, I'd like to cut it down ahead of time because I think that makes the cooking time faster, because the smaller it is, the quicker it's gonna cook. But if you could not cut it down and you had to wait for it to soften and do that, you can cut that then after that point into our piece. So you're just following back where we are right now. So all I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna cut this into like little half moons all the way down. Trying to keep my cuts consistent in terms of their width. Remember, you guys, it helps them cook at the same pace. So they're done at the same time and other pieces aren't done before other ones are. That's really important for consistent cooking. All right. Next, honestly, you guys can get as creative as you want with what you want them to look like. All I'm gonna do is cut them in half like that and then cut down into cubes, just like this. I want you guys to remember what we're talking about when we cut something in half in between our fingers like this. And press down. Okay, so I don't need much more than this, so I'm just gonna cut open that half and I'll use the other half for something else. What you could do, if you're not making it for enough people, you could roast it down and blend it with some water, and you can have like a nice little puree, which would be really cool as a sauce on something. All right, so our cubes are done. And I'm gonna wait on our kale before we move to our next step. While we're waiting for our kale to finish cooking, we're gonna start working on our herbs. So like I said, this is thyme. I really like thyme. There's different varieties of it that adjust the flavor a little bit. This is just like your traditional thyme, but it's really delicious with butternut squash and sauces. So all we're gonna do is take some of our thyme. Like I like to say, if the leaves are pointing up, pull down. And try to eliminate as many stems as possible, because nobody wants to eat any of that barky stem. So all we want is the leaves. So like I said, if leaves are pointing up, pull down. And you get all your leaves off. And if you're just picking, just pick like that, right off the stem. Leaves up, pull down. Done. So I want you guys to make sure that you keep at least two sprigs, like say something like this, about this size, of your thyme off to the side, because we're going to use that in the roasting process with our butternut squash. So like if I were to put this in the oven, it would go on top just like this. I want to show you guys what a stem looks like. So like this. That's a piece of stem that I don't want. That's too big. So I just want to take the leaves off. Just like that, and hold off that stem. So I just want you to saw. We don't want any of that woody feel among our thyme leaves. So you see how those are all pretty much broken up really well. Next up, you guys, we have our sage. So as you can see, there are a bunch of leaves on here. All we're going to do is remove and pinch at the base to remove the leaves. Just pinch like this. Kind of like I tell you guys when you're holding a knife, except you're using your other hand or whatever hand, I don't care. You just pinch off. just pinch like this. So sage is big time fall in terms of the herb. It really fits in with like the Thanksgiving, Christmas stuff. You guys should probably even smell it. See if you recognize that flavor or that smell. Okay, so I'm done with that. All I'm gonna do is do a rough chop through our leaves. So I'm gonna try to line them up. So if we're gonna do this one at a time, for you guys to be safe, all we're doing is just straight through like this. All we want is little thin strips all the way down our leaves, because we don't want any big pieces. We want it broken up so it doesn't take over the beauty of the sauce and everything together. We pinch the knife like this and 3 fingers underneath, like we do in our classes. And I do not expect you guys to cut this fast. Do not try to be me. Take your time. Don't rush. We got all the time in the world, you guys. So we're gonna take our sage and add it in with our thyme. Next we have our garlic chives. So all I'm doing is trying to line them up like this so I can cut as many of them as possible at once. So lining them up, one of the easiest ways to do this. And I want to cut these down pretty small. So same process, just cut through, just like this. Guys, I can smell that garlic. It smells so good. Okay. Load that up and drop that in. So now we just have like our little herb mix here. So garlic chives, sage, and thyme. Okay, so let's prep our butternut squash as our kale finishes. So like I did with our kale, I just used foil to line a sheet tray. Again, eases cleanup, makes things a lot simpler. Take some olive oil and drizzle some olive oil. Going back in with my hands to massaging that olive oil on our butternut squash. Perfect. Let's wash our hands. We're gonna season our butternut squash pretty simply, and we're gonna season our butternut squash pretty simply. The reason I'm not adding a whole bunch of flavor into the butternut squash is, one, it doesn't need much. The other piece is our sauce is gonna create a lot of that flavor for us, to really balance out those flavors and make it taste make it enhance its flavor. So the first thing I'm gonna add is some garlic powder. You guys should have this garlic powder in your kit. I would just use what you have in your kit. Next, we're gonna add some black pepper. So remember, we don't season low, we season high. So it covers all of our butternut squash and it's not in one spot. We don't wanna overdo the black pepper. It's important that you season in this order, or at least season with salt last. We're not gonna season with salt until we put it into the oven because it draws out moisture and we want this to roast, right? We don't want it to steam. So we're gonna wait to salt it, but we'll salt it at the end and then add it into our oven. Add our kale. All right, here it goes. I'm just gonna play with it. You guys hear that crunch? That's what we want to hear. It's okay if some of them are still a little soggy. As they cool, they'll crisp up a bit. But this is that noise that you want to hear. They should feel pretty hard, and you should be able to hear that like crunchiness. Guys, hear that? That's what we want to hear. Preheat my oven to 400 degrees. Oven is preheated and ready to go. So we're gonna add in our salt now. So we're really seasoned well. Guys, don't be afraid of salt. Okay, now I'm just gonna gently mix. So all of our butternut squash is getting that salty love. And then we go into our oven. I'm gonna guess, you guys, if your butternut squash has been cut down to that size, that about 20 minutes at 400 degrees should be about enough time, but we're gonna check it. I would say check at about 20, and then if we need more, we can add more time in. But I think that should be enough. Let's get into making our sauce. As our butternut squash is finishing up, I want you to grab your butter that you have. You're just gonna use it all. What I gave you is what you should use. I'm gonna take our butter, add it to our pan, turn it on, and melt it down. So I got this on about medium heat, you guys, as it melts down. So we're gonna make a brown butter. Brown literally means that the color will turn, but we don't want to burn it. We just want it to turn that golden brown, and it adds like this really cool nutty flavor to your butter. So you get the niceness of the butter, but you also get like this nuttiness that's really cool with the butternut squash. So I'm gonna let that melt down. While I'm doing that, I have our Morita chili. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it in half. And as that butter melts, I'm gonna add those in there. Now with the Morita chilies, we have to be very careful not to burn them. If you burn them, it ruins the flavor. If you keep them not right, it adds a really nice smokiness and heat to the sweetness of what we're building. So really creating a really cool sauce that's really simple to make, as you guys will see. So I'm gonna show you guys while we're here at the stove, we can check out our butternut squash. Let's see how it's roasted. Should feel pretty soft, and it does. It feels close. We're good, you guys. We're close on this. But you also can see how it's starting to caramelize those sugars as it roasts. So about 2 more minutes on that butternut squash. Okay, let's stir the pan. The reason I'm stirring the pan, you guys, is to keep the butter from burning. I want it to cook more evenly, so that's why I'm stirring it. So we really have to watch our butter, you guys, because once it starts to brown, there's no turning back, all right? So we have to be ready to add in our maple as soon as it starts to brown up a little bit. So guys, come see. Starting to bubble. So if you can't see it because it's starting to bubble, grab a fork and just stir a little bit so you can pay attention to when it starts to brown. Alright, you guys, it's starting to brown up a little bit if you look closely. You get like that glossy golden color. And you also see how our chili is softer and it's starting to turn red as that heat and moisture hits it. All those flavors are fusing in with the butter. You see how it's starting to brown a little bit? They're like darker golden color. That means we're very close. So I'm gonna stir that a little bit so we don't burn too fast. Next, I'm gonna take in our beautiful maple syrup, and just pour that in. And stir. When you pour your maple syrup, it's gonna slow down some of that cooking on that butter. And it's also gonna wanna caramelize, as you can see. So I'm gonna turn my heat down because it doesn't need to be too hot here, because I don't want it to caramelize. Smells delicious. All right, now I'm gonna add in our herbs. So you guys see? All of our herbs went down. I'm just gonna stir that in there. And guys, we have a beautiful chili maple brown butter. All right, that's all we have to do. So I'm gonna keep it on low and watch it as I start getting ready to plate. All right, you guys, so we're gonna get ready to plate. Don't worry if you don't have like a pretty plate bowl situation like this. It's not a big deal, but we do eat with our eyes first, so let's be thoughtful about how we plate this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our butternut squash, put it in the center. Form it into like how you want it to be composed. I think there's a lot of different ways that you guys could do that. For me, I'm just gonna kind of stack it to give it a little bit of height. After that, we're gonna drizzle over our sauce, and then we're gonna use our kale chip as our garnish. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're gonna take our butternut squash in the center of the plate. So try to give it a little bit of height. Don't worry if some of your squash breaks up a little bit. It's gonna be like moist from the sauce anyway. Okay, so that's how we're gonna stack it. So stir your sauce first. And I'm just gonna drizzle it all over. For this, I want to see that sauce on the bottom of the plate, on the bowl. I'm gonna grab some of our kale chips as our garnish. We don't need all of them, but take those, you guys, and snack on them when you get hungry. We're just gonna gently put them over the top, like this, to give us some more height. And there, you have a really elegant, really simple dish that's delicious, that plays in with the fall. I hope you guys enjoyed making this, and hope you enjoyed as much as how it tastes. I think you'll really like it. Just follow those steps. Look forward to hearing your feedback about the dish. Hit that QR code. And also, I hope you guys enjoy cooking this with somebody that you care about. And if it wasn't, that somebody that you did this with that could bring you together. If you did it by yourself, I hope you feel closer with yourself, and that you enjoyed this process. Eat up, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.